Um, uh, Objects they are like a variable that contains data or functions that that have um, that are in keys and value pairs. That is what we call it an object. And what we call a class. A class is like a template that we create in the form of function in which we can call as much as possible in our code instead of rewriting the code every time we need such function. So it's like a template that we created in order to reuse as much as possible. That is class for us.
Okay. Um, we can try again. We can try again. We can try. We can try. We can try. We can try. Hmm? We can try. Okay. We we have been using we have been using uh, objects and classes, but we we don't know we have been using it. And example of those objects and classes that we actually been using is the email. I only want to use the is send email class where you import from another what's it call it, another package like the project we did recently where you are asked to uh, create an image message where you either install or import it as a variable like SNTP2, right? So let me show you one of the things. Um, Trying to see how I can show you one of the thing about the uh, SNTP. Okay, let's say for instance, let me create um, let's say hello.py. So if you are having issue running a Python script, are you getting me? In your in your uh, in your laptop, you also need to add to part in a environment variable. You add to part Python. So just Google around, you see how to add to part. Maybe you try to run a Python code and it's not working. It's not really working. Maybe you're having some issues. You make sure you install Python and then you add to part. Your code member can help you out to resolve that. So um, sometimes try to import. Um, let's see how I can import SNTP. Um, so sometimes you try to import, let's say, email message. What's the name of this? So to try to import email message um, in Python. What's the name?
Are we recording?
Yeah, I'm recording. So let me show you something like this. When you come here, so um, you try to import, let's say, from dot from email dot message import email message. So this email message is a class, right? So it's a what? It's a class. So inside this class, there are methods, right? There are methods that you are required to use. So for you to use this this class, you need to create an instance of that what of that class by maybe you can say message is equals to this email message. So this will help you have access to the method of the class. So I want you to take this cognizant. So what we are doing is to create our own what classes. All this while we have been using classes created by what other people. So we want to learn how we can create our own classes and then how we can access that class. So if I want to access the instance of that class, the object of that class, I come here and click on dot. So when I click on dot, you see all the things that you've created in this particular class, right? So this is a class created by people, and you have been using it for a very long time now. So this now brought us to what is class, right? Now, and before we move into class, we need to understand what is object, right? As I explained earlier. So I would like to use this to show you the object. Now, object is simply a collection of data, which is what? A collection of what? Variables. Everything you are seeing here are a collection of what? Variables. You can see it here. So these are called what? Objects or methods. You can call it object. Yeah, let's call it object. So you can call it objects, right? They can be objects, a collection of variables. Let's say it's a collection of what? Of variables and method, right? Function, right? Now, so if an object is a collection of a variable and a collection of method, which is a function, where are these variable and the object sitting? Let's say we have a house, right? A house. So a house is like the design of a house. So a house is just a name. When you say a house, you are not specific in a particular building. A house. So a house is where people live, right? So an object, a class is like a house where object what live. So inside the house you have different types, different kind of what of rooms. So house is broad. It can be a bungalow. It can be a different kind of house. But when you call a class is like the house. So a class is a blueprint for an object. So this is a class, right? Or call it a container for an object. So a class is what? Simple, a blueprint of what? Of an object. Now, before we go into object, we need to understand, when we go into object, we need to understand class. When you know what class is, then we'll be able to know why you should even create class, and why you should even create class, and why you should even create objects. So we're going to be looking at that step by step. Now, a class is considered as what? A blueprint of an object. Now, the word blueprint, let's try to see that in Google. When you come here and Google blueprint meaning, so we say that a class is what? If a class is a blueprint for an object. So in that blueprint, they say a design or a plan, right? A design or what? Or a plan. So it's like a design and a plan of an object. If you want to create a class that deletes user, or a class of cohorts and a class of students, in a class of students, there are information in that class of students, details of that student, to delete a student, to update a student, to add a student, right? So those information inside that class is what we call the objects. Now we can think of a class, like I said, as a house. So it contains all the details about the house, such as what? The windows, the door, the rooms. So an object is like a house. So a class is like a house, when an object is the details of that house. So what is the details of that house? We have chairs, right? We have windows, right? We have doors, right? We have the floor of the house. I don't know if I'm making sense. I like to be very explicit so that we can all understand, we can all flow together. We need to understand before we start creating what, start creating class. Okay, now let's move on. Let's now move on in defining class, right? Let's move on in defining what? Class. So like I told you earlier, we've been using class. We've been using class. We've been doing with class. Like the email message that we've done is also what we've used. This thing is blocking my this. How could I stop this thing now from? Okay, so what we are going to do to create a class. So if you want to create a class, we use the class keyword to create a class, right? In Python. So we call the class, right? Then followed by the name of that class. So we need to create the name of the class. The name of the class that I'm going to create, let's say for instance, I'm going to create a class, say student, and the first letter will be X, capital. That's why you see all the classes we have been using. The first letter are always what? Capital, right? The first letter will start with cap, then student, right? So this is how you create what? A class. So this is what? A class. And this is how you are going to create what? A class. Then after creating that class, say we have created a class. Now the next thing we are going to do, is to create what? A variable of that class, right? Like I told you, an object of that class, right? So we are going to create the class, then we'll create the object. We'll start from the basic, then we'll move into what? Advancing this class. So the variable of the class, I'm going to create full name of the student, assign it to an empty string because a class can either contain information or contain just the variable. So the next thing I'm going to be doing here is to create, let's say, course, right? Course. Then also going to have this. So the next one is score. Then assign this to 0. So here is a class, and here is what? Is the object of that what? Of that class. Now the variable inside this class is called an object, or you call it an attribute, right? So this is not object, but this is called what? Attribute. Are we communicating? So these variables are called what? Attributes. So you call it what? An attribute. So what will happen here is that we created a class of student, then we created an attribute of full name, second attribute of courses, and then a score of what? Of 0. So the variable inside a class are called attributes. So I want you to note that. Then the next thing we are going to do is that to create an object, right? Now, an object is called an instance of a class. An instance of what? Of a class is called an object. So we are going to create an instance of that class. So let's say create instance of a what? A class. So we are going to create an instance of that class. So the variable that is assigned to instance of that class is called what? An object. Are we communicating? So here, let me create an object. I will say student underscore info equals to, we call the name of that object. How many of you have noticed this? I'm coming. It's not defined. So did I have the essay? Let me confirm. Okay, sorry. Okay, students. How many of you have done this before? Maybe you have used a scenario like this before, where you call the instance of the class and assign to this. If you have used it before, please indicate. Fantastic. We have been using it, but what we are using is the one developed, a class developed by other people. Now, so this syntax here will create an object for us. So this object will enable us to have access to this information and do whatever we want to do with it. So the next thing I'm going to do is that, now for me, so what we did there is to create objects of the class so that we can use the object to access the attributes of this class. This is the object I'm going to use to access the attribute of the class. That's why when we start the class earlier, I told you about email, right? Where I imported email and tried to create an object, instance of that object, to enable me access the attribute or method of that object. We are going to improving this gradually, but let's move in. Now, the next one we are going to do is how to. So here we've created a class, Then here is creating the instance of the class. The next one is what? Access class attribute. Using the objects, right? So to access the class attribute using the word the object. So to do that, what we need to do, we are going to use what we call the dot notation, right? So when we call the students, the student info, we use dots. So immediately I use dots, this is the attribute we created for that class. And I hope it's becoming clearer now. So for me to access this attribute, I use dot, then call, let's say, full name. Then that full name, I can decide to either assign something on this full name, right? I can decide to either assign something on this full name, but you don't need to assign it. You can use this. This now can give you access to this. I can decide to come here again and call the student.
Sorry, hi Chief. Can I ask a question?
Yeah, fire down, my brother.
Okay. I'm just saying that this thing you're doing now is just like states in React. So if that you called you gave this thing a full name when you declared the class.
Yes.
Like now, we'll say instead of leaving it to be this thing undefined or say empty, then you just maybe put skyline. Yeah. Then when you call this one here, this it says access class attribute using this thing, the object, the dot notation. So if you use student underscore info dot full name equals to then Skyline. Is it going to rewrite the previous one that you called inside the class?
If you assign something, right?
Yes, if you assign something, if you assign a full name now inside the class,
let's say Skyline.
then you now use this your is it inheritance now that you use now to get the information inside the class.
Yeah.
If you assign another name, or say yes, another name inside this, if you call this full name, so is it going to replace the one that is inside the class?
I've not we'll try that out and see. We'll try that and see.
Okay.
If it's good.
Okay, because I'm asking, because in this thing, in React, when you are calling this thing, yes, when you are calling a state, it can give it another name inside this play. That if you want to change one inside here,
one, it should allow you to assign. So it should allow you to assign a new value. It should allow you. So we are going to try that out, but I've not tried that though.
So that's my question actually. That's my question.
Yeah,
so
it's going to allow you to.
it
definitely would allow you to assign a value. I think so.
So when that means when it allows you to assign a new one, it's going to rewrite the previous one.
Yes, you're going to rewrite the previous one, exactly. So we'll get to that.
Okay,
but what we are doing here is to create a variable, then leave the variable empty, then later assign something. So here now is to how you can access the attribute. We all know how to do all these things. We have been doing it, right? We have been doing it. Like some of the projects that you used, but I will build, definitely you work with classes. But now we are learning how to build, customize those classes by ourselves, not understanding how these things are done on the back end, not just using it, but to know how to also create it, right? So when we have started building, we are going to be using more of classes, a lot of classes. So you need to know the classes and inheritances. So we'll move to inheritance of classes very soon. But when we are done with this, hopefully we'll finish up classes tonight and then move into inheritance. Probably build a project. So this is how you can access the class, your classes, right? Now, the next thing to also to do is that how you can access attributes and also assign new value for this attribute, right? How you can assign new value for this attribute. So to assign a new value for this attribute, what you need to do, if you notice here, we don't have any value yet, right? This is empty. Then to assign a new value, what you need to do is come here. Then the course. Then info also, student info, score. Then you have like 80, right? So if we want to get this information, like want to get all the information that is here, what we need to do is let me use fprint. I'm going to make use of fprint here. Here I will call this. So I'll pass in student.info, student.full name, student.full name. Then let me come here and say full name. So the next one I'm going to call here is have like let's say course apply. Then in that course apply, I'm going to have this again. Then I have student info, Then we have dot course. Then next one is we have total score. Then we have this. Then we also have the student info. Call this student info dot score. So when you look at it, this is how you can assign a value to an attribute. And then if we come down here, right, and then run this, if we run this and then scroll down to this place, now you notice that we have an error. It says name student is not defined, right? It says student info is not what? It's not defined. So we are having this on line 1. So let's check that. Let's know where the problem is coming from. Say student
Capital letter.
dot full name is not defined.
Is it not capital letter S, sir?
Capital letter S. Which of them?
The one you put in the bracket, the print.
Okay. I think that's not where the error is coming from. The error is coming from here. So they are telling us this is not defined. So I'm trying to find it. I'm trying hard to believe that this is not defined. The word they're telling us here is that the info, the full name is not defined. That means this is not defined. So let's check something out. All right, class. All right, so I doubt that it's not defined. It's defined. Let me use this to check this out. So try to, okay, we can have it here. So I don't know why this other one is telling me it's not defined. It's making me look stupid, but I'm not. All right, so when you notice that what we have here is full name, then Orisama call is Skyline, then course applied, backend development, and total score is 80. If you notice that we have, first thing we did here is to create a class, and inside the class we created an attribute which is variable. Then we also created instance of that class, and this man becomes an object. So through this object we then access the attributes of that class, then assign a value to that attribute. So the next line, what we did here is to call the attribute, the instance, the object, and then the attribute using the dot notation. Then we're able to access this. This is one of the simplest way to create a class, but this is not the this is not the let's say the well I'm trying to think of a term to this is not the way
Conventional.
a structural well structured
Modern way, well structured.
yeah, well structured pattern to do it. It's not at all, but this is just the basic for a beginner. This is, we are doing this to understand how the classes works, and I hope we all understand how these classes work. The outputs we will be able to know. So they are both cool. Like you can see, we define the class, then we be able to access the class, and then we also be able to modify the properties of the class using what? The dot notation. So the next thing we are going to do is to create multiple objects in a class. How we can be able to create a multiple objects in a class. So we are going to do that. Then from there, we'll move into other things. So the next we are going to do is to create a multiple object. So what we are going to do is to come here. I'm going to create another class. We already know how to create class. We call this, and then let's say cohort. So in this cohort, we have dots here. Then I'm going to create just one variable, cohort cohort underscore name, which I'll assign this to 0. So the person that asked question earlier, yes, it is possible to reassign, right? It is possible to reassign something. Let's say here we have cohort 20, for instance. We can reassign this, so it is possible. If we can do it on this one that we have 0 and reassign it to this, it's also possible to reassign. Like the other person that asked question, is it possible to reassign? It is 100% possible. So we are going to check it out now. So we've created a class of cohort. So in that code, we are learning how to create multiple objects, right? So let's create cohorts. Let's say cohort. Let's say cohort 20. So cohort underscore name equals to we call the cohorts, then we put this. So this is the object that we've created, right? Let's also create you can say create a cohort name 2. You can assign this to another cohort, capital letter. Then we have this. So to assign so what we are going to do here is to access this cohort name and then assign a value. So this cohort name dot this name is the same. Cohort, let's say cohort group, cohort underscore group. I need to change the name so that we will not have some conflicting issues. So cohort dot cohort group. So we can assign this to, like, let's say cohort 30, right? So we can also say cohort dot cohort group 2 dot cohort group equals to cohort 34, right? So we can also use printing print to access this man by calling the f formatting string. So we can then call cohort 2 cohort name dot cohort this. Then we can say the first cohort name is, then we'll come here, the second cohort name is, so call the f string and then pass in the cohort 2. So if we run this, so the first code name is name, code 2 object this. Okay, so let's try to see
Different data type.
okay, different data type.
One is number, yes.
You're right. You're right. Where is that man? Different.
So can you use Alt Z so that we can see your entire screen?
Can I use what?
Alt plus Z.
Okay, this
Alt Z.
This right?
Just okay.
It's okay
Okay,
like
sir.
this.
Just press or Z so that you won't have to be
S plus what?
to the left and right.
Tell me what you want me to press.
Alt key and then Z
Up key.
plus
Okay.
Z. So we don't have to be scrolling left and
Where is the
right.
up key? Sir? Up key and it's not the work. Oh.
It's supposed to work.
Up is it like this my arrow? The
It
up
will
and down.
it will not work because you are it will not work because
It will work.
he is not
Alt
Chidima
Z.
listening. I know what you are saying. But the problem here is that the system it doesn't contain two lines, so it won't break.
He's
His
scrolling.
code doesn't
He's
maybe in
scrolling.
your whole system. What I'm saying here is not scrolling, so it won't change.
That guy, allow him to try it first, please.
It has worked now. It has worked already. It has worked already. I don't know what you guys are arguing about.
I don't even know what I do, self. I don't know what I did. I just press the up key. It don't work, Abi. It have work, it has to work, Abi. No problem.
Yes, it's in one line already.
Let fire down now. Okay, I
No,
understood. I understood now.
look, Mr. Kala, it's Alt, A-L-T. Alt is on your system.
Okay,
A-L-T,
alternative
then
up
Z.
and up key. That's it. I just say search
No,
up.
not up key. Alternate and
Alt,
Z.
alternate, and Z.
I don't know what you. Right. No, man, I not go spoil my keyboard.
You pressed it at first now. It's okay now.
A-L-T and
It's okay like this.
It is what it is now. It is what it is. All right, they're on that shit again. Okay, so we're still having conflicting issues. Let me see. I thought I changed this. Objects, main objects, code objects.
Check the print now that the second class name is cohort 2 dot. You didn't put the dot. Cohort group.
Cohort 2 dot. Cohort. Wait. Okay.
The second one.
Okay, dot. All right. Let's run that shit again. Okay, we'll be able to. Now what we did here is how you can create multiple. What's it called? Multiple objects and assign different cohort names. So we have the first code is code 13, the second code is code 34. So that's how you can create objects and then attribute. Now let's talk about method. Let's talk about method. Who can tell us what is method? Who can tell us what is method? We have been talking about method. What is method? How to use method? Who can help us out? Who can help us out? Hello? Are we together?
Yes, we are here.
Okay, who can tell us? Who can help us out?
Let me give it a try.
Okay.
Method is more or less like a predefined functions in which has been configured in order to just pass a different variables to perform the same operation over and over again.
Okay. Who can try again? Who can try again? Who can try? Okay, a method is very simple. A method is a function in a class. That is all. If you notice this class that we've been creating, If you notice this class that we've been creating, if you notice this class that we've been creating, we don't have a function. So a method simply means a function in what? In a class. That's what a method is. So we cannot define a function inside a class. A Python function defined inside a class is called what? A method. So the function that you define inside the Python class is called a method. So we want to define a function inside a class. Then every function you are defining in a class must have a purpose why you are doing it, right? Must know why we are doing it. Let's say we want to calculate a score of each cohort or a score of each student, right? In a function. So in a class. So we need to create a function that will define that a function that will calculate. Let's say you want to create a function that will delete a cohort user whenever we call that cohort whenever we call that function. So his work is just to delete a user. So whenever we call it, it can then delete a user immediately. Now, so what we are going to do is very simple. We are going to create another file here. So here I can say .py. So inside this method, so I'm going to create let's say a class, and then inside that class I will have to create a function that calculates the total score of each student in a cohort, right? So this is actually what I want to achieve, right? This is actually what I want to achieve, to see how we can be able to call can be able to call and be able to calculate. So let me say here I will call a class of students. So students. So in this class, I'm going to like call the cohort name, cohort underscore name. Then I'm going to call like let's say the courses. Let's say score. I'll say let's have like our phone course subject score. Trying to say in, let's say, Python underscore list. In Python underscore list topic, they have 0. Then which topic again will I bring now? Let's say Python dict underscore dict 0. Then let's call Python underscore, they have something like Python underscore so they have like tuple 0. So what we will to create an attribute for this class. So let's create a function. We are going to define a function called calculate. Now in Python function, it must pass what we call, in any Python function, it must pass a parameter. And the parameter you are required to pass in a Python function, if you want to access any attribute in this function, let's say you want to access anything here, in that function, you are required, if you call this Python now, remember I call Python, I come here and I call Python. You notice that I can't access it. I can't access any of these elements here. If you notice it, when I call cohort, I'm not seeing anything like cohort here. So if you try to access anything inside the Python, what's it called it? Inside the class attribute in the function, this will not work. But there's a way to do this. There's a way to do this. So what I want to do here is that I want to call all these things and then calculate whatever that is here. I can also create a function that would delete any of the subjects. So whenever we call this man, this now will go off. So it all depends on what you really want to achieve. So for the scope of this course, what I want to do is to create a function in a class that will calculate list of subjects of each of the codes, right? It is what it is. So, but for me to access this, like I told you, I need to pass what we call save here, right? I need to call what? Save. So with this save here, you can use it to be able to access this method. So this is a method now. It is not an attribute. It is not an object. So a method is a function inside what? A class. I want you to know that now, right? So this is a method. So what I'm going to do here is to call this man, and then inside here I will say, okay, print. So we call the F, or I can decide not to call the F. I just decide to say, okay, let me call the F. Let me call the F. So inside this F, I will say this is the score of, then I'll call the cohort name. So if I call cohort name, you notice that still I can't access it. So who can tell us how to access this cohort name? We cannot see, you can't see it in our function. So let's brainstorm.
Import
Import where?
from the one that we from the folder from our previous file.
No, now what we are accessing is this.
Okay.
Yeah, and we can access it.
We can access it by calling on the self.
Calling on the self
cohort.
student.
Good.
Yes,
No, self dot cohort name.
It's called
Self dot cohort name.
Then when you use that,
Cohort
you
name.
see all every object that we are accessing is here. Have you seen it? Self. We are going to be using this when we start building. Are you getting me? When we start building, you will see it. So when you want to create a function in a class, I want to access the variable in that class. You need to use what we call self, right? So self the word cohort name. So you are called this. So what we are going to do here is, then we say, we call this again self. Can see it's very simple, right? Dot dict plus self dot how do I take someone do that thing? So self dot then plus
Self dot tuple.
self dot Python tuple, right? I think that is all. So this man now, right? What this man is doing is that whenever we call, it will run all these things and calculate and give all the sum of everything that we have done. So now let's go and create an object, right? Let's go and create an object. So yeah, I'm going to
Sorry,
say,
sir. Sorry,
yeah,
sir. Can I ask a question?
yeah, fire down.
So in the method that you pass a parameter self, is it is there a rule that says that it must be self? Can't we change it to another name, like just put man, then say inside the print method say man.cohort, or there's a rule that it just have to be self?
There's no rule that you have to be self, but the most popular way of doing it. But almost if you want to even change it, the variable, it means they want to confuse people. Are you getting me? You can change it to anything, but in every, for all the Python, every Python you will see, both the code written by professionals or written by those that are learning, if you want to pass in a method, a parameter in a function, in a class, you must use self. Are you getting me?
Okay.
You can use any name you want to, but for me, stick with self so that I will not confuse yourself.
Okay, no problem.
If you are adding normal parameter, if you are using normal parameter, yeah, you are using normal parameter. Okay, let me show you some of the jobs I'm doing so that you know that I use this like for almost every day. I use it like almost every day. The current OTS I'm building, which I decided to use my hand to build, because I want to use my hand to build it to make sure that everything works perfectly. I use self for almost in every let me go to the so let's say here okay, so this is class, right? So you can see the class I created, and so these are inheritance. I inherited this from somewhere. So when you see this div, I always use self to access. I always passing self. I also passing self. Now if you also come to this one too, whatever I create, okay, this one is not in a class, it's a normal function. You can see that my normal function, I don't pass in self, I pass in request, right? But let me show you the things I usually use a lot of classes. Like say this man, so okay, not the same thing. Let me go to the model so that you see the model will give you more of what it is used for. This don't have a model. Okay, now when you come here now, you can see the class I created. When I come here, you can see that for me to access this man, I pass in self and I use self dot. So it's a class. So for you to access any variable, this is a database I created. For you to access any, you need to pass in self. I think I have another more bigger database. I think this is one of the okay. This authentication. So I have where I have authentication, more of authentication. Okay, this user. Yes. So when it comes to this user model, so you look at this class. I have my model. So inside this class, this is what we actually did, right? You can see what we did here. You can see what we did in the class. So exactly what we did here is also what we did here. Have you seen it? So this is actually a database. This is actually a database we are creating. So you can see when we are creating a database. So if you know this class, it is what you need to know. You must know it. So we're going to learn about the inheritance. We are inheriting this thing from somewhere, right? That's what we call user.this dot. This man here is what's that called, the object, the attributes of that class. So we are just creating the class, the attribute of the class. So to access this attribute of the class, so what we need to do is what we have to pass in to access any of these attributes. We need to call self. So itself, among my code is self. I use self all through. If you start from up here, can see to even access it here, I'm going to use self. To access it here, I'm going to use self. So anytime you see me use self, that means I want to access something that is on the class. So if you want to access any method that is on each of the class, you must use what? You must use self. So it is very important. that you know that you must use what? You must use self. So let fire down. Where is smart? So that's same thing that we did here, and then we use self to assess this man. So for me, I'm using self. For you, if you can like change it to anything, just that you confuse some people. So let move ahead. So what we are doing now is we excuse me. So we want to assess, right? We want to assess the what we've done. So the first thing I'm going to do, who can tell us what to do here? Who can tell us what to do?
We call an instance. We create an instance.
Okay, let me create an instance of student record goes to. So what next? What next?
We call on the variable. We call on the variable, then we assign the
Okay,
value.
fantastic. So let's call on the variable. So how do we call the variable?
Student underscore record dot Python list. You assign it.
Yes, then underscore record dot
Cohort name.
tuple is equals to 40%. The student underscore relief dot list is equals to 60%. Then student underscore Python leave dot dick is equals to 65%. So how do we calculate?
Still remain the cohort name, sir.
Okay, yes, the code name is student underscore dot cohort name equals to, let's say, cohort 11. We can also create another one by duplicating this, right?
Yes. Yes.
Get to then 2 then I can say cohort 20, and then I have to 35 25 30. So how do we calculate this?
We call on the method.
How? Tell me.
We can put it in variable, then call on the method.
Tell me now. Tell me how you want me to do it.
Okay, let's try it like this. Cohort score equals to, then we call on the method. Scroll up. Let me see how you create your method so you can know how to call on.
Okay.
Okay. Equals to calculate, then open equals to calculate, then open parenthesis.
Cohort score
equals to, then calculate, open parenthesis.
There's no way I can have access to calculate. There's no way.
Okay, you have to call on the, no, go up, scroll up, sir.
Okay,
you've called on the
this
instance.
man is giving you access to everything inside the class. Everything. So
then equals to student dot calculate.
Equals to what?
Student record dot calculate.
Student record dot.
Student record dot calculate.
Where is it now?
Yes, the first one. The open parenthesis that open here. So you pass in your argument.
So are
Which
we
is
not
okay.
passing?
You don't need to
Whenever we
pass
are passing
anything.
something here, are we not passing
Self,
anything inside it?
self. We are only passing self.
Okay. That's right.
Yes.
It's not defined. It's not defined.
Then it should be defined. Okay, we are calling on the calculate. Supposed to work. Go up, sir.
Okay.
What are we passing? Coming. Sir, you passed the student record instead of self.
Okay.
Well, he has already done student record dot calculate. How is going to pass student
No.
record again?
That is what we want to calculate. That is our argument.
So what next?
We can print the results.
Okay, we can print, right?
Yes.
All right. I'm
Cohort score.
I'm here to learn. So let's get that. So that's all. This is what we have.
917.
I think we already have two classes. We already have two classes already. The student record 1 and 2. We have to go and assign them to variable, one variable, then you print them. Not that, yes.
I didn't get, sir. Can you come again?
I said we already have two variables like student record 1 and 2.
There is no variable here.
Yeah.
There is no variable called student record 1 and 2. Are you there?
We have student record and student record 2.
Is it a variable?
It's an object.
Yeah, it's an object now. You're calling it a variable.
It's an object. Since we already have two objects, we have to assign them to one class, then print the class.
How? Now explain. How do you want me to do it?
That is where we are going to listen together.
So who can help us out?
Sir, go back to the method. Let me cross-check something.
Which method? Okay, the
one we created earlier in the class.
Okay.
Function calculate itself. Go down.
Okay. Chidima. Chichi.
I'm here, sir.
Help us out now.
I'm still looking at it now.
Okay. Don't speak in tongue.
Sir, the method, does it actually need parameter?
You are the one in charge, but I don't know.
Remove it. Remove the student record. Let's try it. It's a method. Let's try it without parameter.
So should try without parameter, right? It's returning what?
We are good.
Are
We
we
have
good?
it.
But we are returning
Yes.
none. It's returning none now.
If return, this is the score of cohort 11, 165.
What are the ones that is returning none?
The second one, that is the second method, right? I guess.
That's the return method. We don't print anything
Maybe
now.
you should clear that first. Let's clear the terminal first.
Mm.
Okay.
So they know who is returning none and who is not returning none. Is that printer that is returning none? Right.
So what if in the function we didn't use return in the function now?
It's returning none.
In the function up.
No, the printer
The calculate function.
the print.
Don't we need to add return?
This is mine returning none. Why?
We only have one print now, and above it we have this is the score of cohort 11, then 165. Yes.
No.
So what I'm saying is that in the function up,
look at it.
The function inside the student class.
This man is returning none. This man is not printing.
Okay. So it must print until you have argument. I don't think you should print without the argument. I'm coming. I'm looking for a way out.
So I think this cohort underscore equals to student dot calculate. Are we not going to do it on that student records too, and print them?
Where? Which
Won't
side is
it
that?
work?
Where? Like where are you
This
talking about?
student underscore records 2.
Student where?
Underscore records 2.
Student underscore record 2. No, we have not come to that side now. We'll come to it. Let's finish this one first. So the guy, what's up?
I'm coming. I'm still trying to figure out what to be the argument, because I know the argument is the problem here.
Okay, this is it. We don't need to print this. We don't need this. So what it needs to call it, because it's already printed that on the function here. You can see it. We already printed it out here. I get him. So we already printed this out here. So what you need to do is to call this dot. So all these are placeholder. It will replace all this that we have here. So this will be able to give us the score of code 11. You can do it this way. Do it this way. You can have here is by you can decide
So in
to
the function we have print instead of
put
return.
percentage here. You can call here and put percentage. So when it print this will give us what 165 percent. So that's what we have. So this is like a way to create a class, a class and a method. So what we did here is to we created an attribute of name, Python list, Python dict, and then Python tuple. Then we created a method, which is what? A function inside a class, a method that calculates. Now, this is the assignment you guys are going to do before we move ahead. So, President, are you there? President. Okay, the guy, please take note of this assignment. So, you are required to create a class that records. So, this class now.
Stop, let me take the pen, please.
Okay. Oh, you are ready, let me know. So I'm moving to constructor next. Constructor in class. What is constructor and how to make use of constructor? Very, very important.
Okay, I'm ready.
So you have to create a class cohort, right? In that class cohort name, you are going to create a method that will add cohorts dynamically, not the way I'm doing it here. So when you call that function, that method.
Sorry, sir. Can you start again? Can you start with the assignment again?
Okay. You have to create a class called cohort. So in that class cohort that you are creating, so you have a method. One method you are going to have. One method you are going to have in that class called cohort is add cohort. So when you call that method, the int, this prompt, Python input will come up and ask you to add the name of the cohort. Are you getting me? When you run, you add the name of the cohort. So you are required to add all the code that we have, the current code that we have. You add them. So the next one is to method you are going to create is the method that will delete code. So that method that will delete code will delete code from all the code that we've added. So when you call that method, it asks you the name of the cohort. Then you start the name of the cohort. So if the cohort is there, it should tell the code is there, be deleted. But if not there, tell the code is not found. Then you should be able to create another code. Now you create another method that calculates score. So as you are creating, you create cohort, you get the score of that cohort. You get the code, you get the score of that cohort. That the code that calculates all individual score. Let's say code 1 now, you get the list of courses or project defense for that code 1. Then you assign score. So when you call the code 1, the code 1 now, if we call the method of code 1, it will display the name of that cohort, display the score of that cohort, then the score of that cohort, then display all the projects. So each record you have like 6 projects. So look for project title, but everything should be dynamically. The project you are adding should be dynamically. The score you are adding should be dynamic rather. Should be dynamic. So you are not going to put any of this in here. No. You have to be dynamic. You can put this, but you have to be dynamic. So as you're updating it, you will be dynamic, and then you store it in a list. So whenever you call a particular cohort name, you type it will now display all the list of their courses, and then we now create another method again that will look at all the code that score the highest score for the week. And when you run that class, you're able to put in the list of cohorts. So you write a method that calculates all the list of cohorts. So when you call the cohort, let's say the object dots, you can say best cohort dot best cohort. So the name of the method should be best cohort. It will now print among all the score that you recorded, it will now print the best cohort of this. I already built this as an application. I got it. Our next is now. I already built it on the code of the week. Our code of the week next edition going to be dynamically selected. So it will be there for everybody. I already built that from application, so you guys also build it as well. Any question? Before we move to the next
Yes, yes, sir. Let me rephrase the assignment to see if there is something I'm missing.
Please send to the
The
president
first one,
immediately when you are done, and also post
yeah.
it to the
The
platform.
first one, yeah, okay, sir. The first one, you said we should create a class that is called a cohort. Then we create a method inside that class that dynamically had cohorts name. Then second one, you said we should create a method that deletes
That add
cohorts
cohort
we
name, not
added.
only cohort name, that add cohort name, their subjects, and their score. So each of the cohorts
Okay,
should have
cohort
like
name, subject,
6 subjects, like 6 projects.
and
Then each of the
score. Okay,
projects will come with a score.
okay. Okay, the subject will be as projects instead of subject. Or should they make
There
projects?
is project now. Are you doing subject here? What you are doing here is project now. You can say project for
Okay,
project for this, project for this. We will score it based on project, not based on
okay.
subject.
Project. Okay, okay. Done. Then the second one, you said we should create a method that deletes cohorts that we added. If the
Yes,
cohort is in the list,
yes,
to cross check if the cohort is in the list,
yes,
then
and delete
we
it.
can delete such cohort. Okay, specific cohort.
Mm-hmm.
The third one, we should create another method that calculates the score of each project according to the cohort,
Yes,
corresponding cohort.
yes, the
Okay.
score of each project.
And the last one, we should create another method that runs and calculates the best cohort of the
Of the
week,
week. Yes.
which is the percentage, total overall percentage.
So the last one, you get a method that they did. So if you want to change code 2 now, you can call the code name then edit.
Okay, to edit the info. Okay,
Yes,
all right,
exactly.
all right, sir.
So any question before I move to?
Yes, sir. I have one question.
Okay.
So the assignment, is it that we are the purpose we are going to have, is it going to be like a GUI, interface?
No, you don't need it now. We have done that one. If you want that way, it's no problem. If you
No,
want
it's
to
just a
use,
question I'm
if you
asking.
want to design it as a desktop app, no problem. I even like it. It can even help you week all of the week.
No
So
problem,
if
sir.
you want to do that,
You want to create GUI? You feel like say you want work tired today.
So if you have the energy,
Now question I dey ask now. Mike, I know
Now
ask
answer
question.
the template, temple. Make no allow me hard run to your name. Oh, you can no be temple run. Go just the run, the run.
So if you have the strength, you understand, you can do it. I would like it, sir. You understand? It
Sir,
can
it's
even
stress.
help
Oh,
you
it's
to.
not easy to be CTK. Oh.
I beg,
CTK is not easy.
project presentation
Stress.
commence tomorrow. Project presentation commence tomorrow by 8:30. So those that have not presented, get ready for your project presentation tomorrow. So you have assignment to do. You have project. A lot of projects are coming. So
When are we submitting this one, sir?
the last project defense for Python, Python should be you already have project you are doing this week. Let me give you guys like at least by Thursday next week we should be able to present Thursday, because I want us to end up every presentation by Thursday. Then we know that as we are moving to Python, because as we are starting Python, the first, second, third week we will not have projects to do because you are still learning. You understand? But the other week it is what it is. Project will be coming front and back. So
Guys, don't worry. Skyline go on whine you, but no panic.
don't worry yourself. So that is it. So let's do another one, which is very important. So and this class, we have to do class on Sunday about inheritance. Inheritance. So, but what I want to do here, only inheritance I will do. So let me do a bit about constructor. So every what do they call it? Every Excuse me. What is that? No, I finished the one. Okay, let's move on. So every Python this project we are building will have a constructor. And what is constructor, right? If you notice what we've done before, we are just calling the variable like this. Now, who can tell us what is a constructor? Who can tell us what is constructor? Who can tell us what is constructor? We want to improve this code. Now, remember, as a software developer or a software engineer, the ability to be able to use a small code and achieve a bigger thing is very paramount. So, what is constructor? Hello? The guy, Chidema, you're silent. So what is happening now?
Can I talk?
Sir.
It's a method. Just a method I use to initialize object. Did you hear me?
Yes. I'm with you.
Sir, you're called?
I'm with you now. I'm with you. I can hear you.
You call me, sir.
The guy, don't worry. The another person have taken over.
Sir.
Okay. No problem. I had network.
Fire down now. Fire down.
I said it's just a method used to initialize when they are being created.
Your voice was breaking. I didn't get that.
I said it's just a method used to initialize a code when they are being created.
To initialize a code.
Just an object when they are being created.
You tried that. What next?
The example is just like init. The example is just like init.
If it is method, if it is constructor, constructor is just used to call on instance to invoke it automatically. To put it in a starting form to initialize it, like you said. We usually use it to call on the method so that it starts.
So how do you add constructor in what we've been able to do now? Let's say let's refactor this code now with the constructor. What do you do?
Okay, sir, can I talk?
Yes. Is it tempo run? Is it tempo run? No. Who want to talk?
Okay, sir. What? Just like what the guy said, the constructor is just like it runs automatically when you create an instance of that class, or when you call an instance of that class, it immediately execute that one. Like if you want to restructure this our code now, you can just create immediately after the class. We will create a constructor. Maybe we pass name, pass Python list, pass Python dist, pass Python. Before that, we have to pass self so that we can use self dot anything that we like. If we want to refactor this code now, you can just immediately after the class we can create a constructor there. Then we can pass the first one self, the second one maybe cohort name, Python list, Python dist, then Python tuple. Then we can close the parentheses. Then under it, you can say self dot cohort name. You can assign. Then if you go down and create an instance of that, like if you create a student, you can just say student is equal to or student one is equal to student bracket, maybe the name of that person, then the score of the Python list, then it will automatically, immediately you call on it, it will automatically execute that. Immediately when you create an instance of it, it executes the constructor immediately based on those parameters that we pass in our constructor.
Okay. Chidema, do you have anything to say? Chichi?
Sir. Okay, what if we do it this way? We in this function, def calculate self, we remove the calculate, use underscore init, then underscore. Then inside the parameter we have the self and cohort, cohort name Python as the arguments.
Sir, do you want us to refactor this code to make use of constructor? So we should do that now, right?
Yes, we are doing that now.
Okay, let's go to line 2. Okay, let's go to line 2.
You didn't hear me, sir?
Yeah, wait. Chidema, you mentioned something. I didn't get you. Your voice was breaking. Come again.
I said in line 7, the function, the calculate function, we remove the calculate, use the underscore, double underscore init, double underscore. Then inside the parameter, we use self, we use all these variables, the cohort name, the Python list, Python this, and Python tuple. We use it as the argument.
Okay. Yeah, that is bit fair. Okay.
Okay, so let's do it like this. After the student after the line 1, go to line 2. Then we call on new function, and the function name will be like Chidema said, underscore init underscore. Then we open our parentheses. The first argument there should be self, which is like a this in JavaScript. This in JavaScript. So the next parameter, the next thing in parameter will be the cohort name. Then the next one will be a Python list. The next one will be a Python dictionary, like we have it here, and the last one will be a Python tuple. So after creating the function, what you have to be inside will be Python list dot Python list dot Python list. Self dot Python list equals to Python list. Or we can even give the value while creating the argument. We can give the value straight if we want. Then in our method under it, so we have to structure that too.
Okay, let's look at what is constructor. I think what he said is exactly, we'll do it together. We'll all do it together and see. But we need to know what is constructor. Why do we use constructor? Now, a constructor, is just like a help us to create the attributes. This attribute help us to in a nutshell, help us to organize our code. Instead of writing this attribute here, it helps you to organize it well organized. Now, in other words, a constructor is a special class method for creating or initializing an object instance, so that you can access that attribute. It helps you to access the attribute, and it helps you to organize your code. So, and the name implies constructor. So it helps you to reconstruct, to rearrange, to initialize your attribute. Now, if you are using a constructor, and a constructor comes with parameters, right? It comes with parameters. The way you access an object, a class that have a constructor, is different from the way you access a class that don't have a constructor. So a constructor is just like a method, a class method. It's a method, a special method. We call it special method because you are not required to use any name at all. It has a pattern, it has a method, it has a models that it needs to follow. It's not like the way we have this our calculate. We can decide to change it. No, but in constructor you can't do that. So it is a special method, right, for creating our attribute. So it is a special method for creating what? Attribute. So see it as a special method for creating our what? Our attribute. So that is what it is. Now, also a constructor also helps us to construct an objects and then assign a value to the members of that object later in the code. So we can create a constructor, then come back later to reassign a what? And to assign a value on that particular word object. So we are going to learn how to create a method. Like I said, it is a special a method. It is not just the method that we created here. It is actually a special method. So you create it in a special way. Now, if we want to refactor this code, right? Should I create another code, or I should create a different code, or I should refactor this one? Should I refactor this one?
Refactor this one.
Okay, good. If we want to create a method, so what we need to do is to call define. So when we call this define, we use underscore in it, which is init. We call it what? Initialize, right? We call it what? Initialize, right? So to initialize. Now the purpose of this method is to assign a value to the member of that class, right? To a member of that class when an object is initialized. So it works. Remember, its purpose is to assign a value to the member of that class when an object is initialized. So it's assign a value to the class, a parameter to the class when that class is what? When the object is initialized, right? When the object is what? Is initialized. So what I'm going to do here, underscore, right? So we grab two underscore, one underscore, then you have this. So what we are going to do next to refactor our code, we are going to call a parameter where we are going to pass in what? Self, right? So let's call a parameter where we are going to pass in a self. Let's do that quickly. Okay. So here I'm going to call a parameter. Remember, there's no other pattern to write this, either this or not. Define underscore. So there should be space here. Good. Make sure you have space. Don't do it here. You have space here. Are you getting me? Give space. Let me do it again so that you see it. Enter. Then define space underscore one. Init. You can see it here. You enter. Right? So let me start afresh so that you can understand it well. Define underscore init underscore. Then we have this. Then there we are going to pass in self, right? Self, then comma. Then we pass in all these parameters that we've called here. Let me comment on this. All these parameters, comma, pass in the Python list, then put comma. You pass in what again? Then put comma. Pass another one again. Then put what? Comma. So what we are going to do here is then we need to access this, then assign a value to them. So to do this, we no longer need this. So here,
Sir,
yeah,
we can even assign the value in the parameters as well.
I'm coming. Let me finish. So when they call me, I call cohort name, which we are going to use self, very important because it's a method dot cohort name. Then we are going to assign just the cohort name. So whatever they put in here, we are assigning whatever they are calling here to this man. We're also going to call self dot Python list I'm gonna say Python list. Let's just copy and paste. Okay, Python. We'll call Python dict self dot this Python dict then self dot Python tuple. Go to Python what top. So we don't need this any longer. Get rid of this. Let's also refactor this a little bit. Let's refactor this. So we get rid of this, all this. So what we are going to do is get rid of these two, get rid of this, get rid of this. So make the code.
That guy, please mute your mic.
That will look very easier. So you can say total what? Total underscore score. Then assign this. Why are we having problem here? Okay, there's a problem here. So okay, we're going to get rid of this code name. Don't need this. All right. So oh, what an oversight. Okay. All right. So here we are going to print to passing F stream. Say this is the score of, then we call self dot cohort name, right? Then comma, then we call this, then we have a total what score. All together we have total what score. So now let's go back and refactor this also. So all this, we don't need all this. Get rid of all this. So get rid of this and we get rid of this. So what we need now, so what we are going to do here is get rid of this and we get rid of what? Get rid of this. So now what we need now is that we'll now call everything that we've called here, we'll pass in here as parameter. So if you have like 1, 2, 3, 4, you pass in 4 here, right? So we are going to call the cohort name. You have 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's call the cohort name. Here I can say we have cohort 11, right? Comma. Then I have 60, comma, I have 65, comma, I have 40, right? Fantastic. Then no, we have 20, 15, then 30. Okay. So here's to call the man. Then we also have a cohort 20. That cohort 20, we have 18, we have 14, we have 17, right? So now when we look at this code, which one is most easier and very simple? Are we together? Are we together? So if you look at here, this is our previous code. Here is our previous code. Are you getting me? This is our previous code. Let me remove all this. This is our previous code, and this is our new code. Are you seeing our previous code and our new code? So this is a bit advanced, right? For some people, they may be a bit confused, right? The reason why I start with this first, so that I will put you through to understand how the class ecosystem function, how it works. Then from there, we'll not transgress to this. Any question before we print what we have done? Anywhere you don't understand, please say it now.
Yes, I have a question.
Okay.
From this this special method that you use here,
yeah,
is it not possible to assign the values inside this special method I just called?
What value do you mean?
Like the value that you're having, cohort 11, 20, 15, and 30. So you say self.cohort name equals to cohort. Then you assign the value for the cohort 11. Self.python underscore list equals to python underscore list. You assign the value.
Why do you want to assign a value? If you can give option where people can add the value by themselves. Because if you assign a value now, it will be a type. That means if they didn't follow that type, if they didn't follow that type,
okay, now what? Okay,
yeah, you can
what I'm trying to understand is that
you can start to have a number here, or a number here, or you can start to have a string here, or a float. You're going to work. But if you assign a value, that means you are defining the value that it will take. If anybody that puts anything that is not number here and you assign a number here, it's not going to work. We did it before. Now we had that issue when we called 0, right? And then we are passing in the string. At the point, he was not encoding it. We're having an error.
Okay. So so we run it like this so that we'll be able to pass in any
parameters,
data type that want to pass
any data type you want to pass. Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So let's run our code. Let me delete this code. So let me recap again. The first thing we do is to create and to initialize a constructor. So that constructor passing the parameters of the constructor. This is actually what we did here in the first code. So what we did was to write it, passing the parameter of our constructor, then assign value to that constructor, a placeholder value, without defining any type of the value of that constructor. Then we did a bit of refactoring our code, which we did here by rearranging it to make it more simplest. And then what we did there is to initialize the object, to initialize this class, and then pass in a parameter on these classes. So the parameter we're passing, let's say we call cohort 11. Cohort 11 will replace the cohort name. Python list will replace this. This will replace this, and this would replace this. So next thing you need to do is to assess the total score of that total score, and we can also use record dot Python list to access each of the score individual score. So when we run this, we can then have the total score is what of total. This is the total score of what of code 11, which is 65. Then you can also call the total score of cohort student record 2 dot cat, then run it, and then we are going to have this is the total score of cohort what is it called 20. What are we doing here? Cohort 2 dot cat. Okay, we need to pass in the listing, so let's run it again. So we're having it. This is the total score of cohort 20, which is 49 score. So this is what we've done today about Python classes and constructor. So Sunday we'll finish up this class by introducing inheritance of those classes. So apparently that's what we are going to do the next